Hello Metamaniacs, Mike the Pied Piper here, and I'm here with an updated video regarding the most recent ban that we recently had on Universe 3 cards and how it is affecting a lot of different decks, including the Vegeks deck and then also the Red Gohan Burn deck. So I wanted to show that even though that card has gotten banned, Vegeks is still incredibly powerful leader, and kind of some of the changes that I made to my deck regarding using Vegeks, it's definitely lost some steam because of the Universe 3 ban. However, to be honest, I do feel it was needed. Storm in the environment was getting extremely powerful, and I feel like if the Universe 3 ban was not done, everyone would be doing Vegeks, or everyone would be playing Universe 3 in some way. So I feel like the ban really is allowing some more decks to shine, which I'm extremely excited about. If you have not checked out my previous deck profile video regarding Set 2 Zamasu, definitely give that a look at. I think it's going to be a really neat and interesting deck to play in the environment. But I would like to go over my new Vegeks deck that I have built, and just hopefully that'll give you guys kind of an idea. It is still quite a powerful deck, so let me bring this up here. Alright, so here is the new version of the Vegeks deck without the Universe 3 cards. So, to go over the leader in general, the leader has an ability, once per turn, burst 5, you get to draw 1 card, which I really like this. It's an activate main, meaning that you do not have to attack in order to draw a card, and you get to burst 5, which is really powerful because you get to play a bunch of free cards. And that's kind of how this deck runs, is there's a lot of cards that you essentially get to play for free. Then on the Awaken, if you have either 20 cards in your drop area or you have 4 or less life, you may actually draw 1, untap an energy, and then you would be able to go on to his Awaken side. And then if you are at if you have 6 or more life, you would then take life down to 6. So depending on when you did the Awaken. Extremely solid leader because it has the ability to, number one, it has the ability to awaken without having any assistance. So you don't have to run cards in your deck that, oh, well, my opponent's going to try to stall me out. They're not going to do life to me. That way you can't awaken. I'll beat you when I'm ready. This deck can awaken on its own, which is really, really good. And then on the awaken side for the leader, and this is the extremely powerful effect, permanent sparking 20. If there are more than 20 cards in your drop area, when you would normally lose all cards in your deck, generally you would lose. Instead, you actually get to shuffle your entire drop area back into your deck. And that is everything. That is all extra cards. That is any extra cards you run in here, battle cards, everything gets shuffled back into your deck. Except the stuff that's in your warp. But an extremely, extremely powerful effect. Extremely powerful. So even though it did the deck did lose some of the Universe 3 synergy with it, it's still really, really good. And then you have the activate main, which is actually kind of the opposite on the other side. This time you would draw a card first, and then you would take the top 5 cards of your deck, and then you would put them into your drop area. Now, I'm going to go over the cards that are in the starter deck first. These are the Saiyan Wonder cards, so if you were looking into getting into the game, you wanted a really powerful deck, and you're like, okay, hey, what should I pick up? I would pick up 2 of these Saiyan Wonder decks, because this is going to give you a lot of the cards you need for the deck. So for the first part we'll go over is the Saiyan, Supreme Kai of Time, Guardian of Space-Time. And this has an auto, if you have 5 or less life in your hand, when this card is using a combo, this card gets plus 5,000 power for the battle. It already has 5,000 combo power. So essentially, 5 or less cards in your hand, when you combo with this card, it's a 10,000 combo power. Pretty sweet, like almost like a super combo, right? If your leader card is a Black Saiyan card, which with this deck it is, when this card is placed in your drop area from your deck by a skill, you may play this card from your drop area. Again, this goes exactly with the leader power. You're discarding top 5 cards of your deck. Oh great, this card is getting discarded. Well, instead it goes out into play, and it's free combo power. Basically free cards and like free combo power, free cards in your hand. Just really, really, really good. Then we have the other cards that get played for free. We have Time Agent Trunks, which has the unique tab, or unique tag, which is a little bit different in the set. It just means that only one copy of this card can be in your battle area at any time. It does have the blocker, so it can blocker when one of your other cards is attacked. You can switch this card to rest mode and change target to this card. And then auto, when this card is played, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand. So if you do need, to add a life to your hand, you're running low on cards, maybe you're looking to awaken and you don't have that 20 cards in your drop area, when this card is played, you get to add up to 1 life to your hand. And then finally, the big effect, auto, if your lead card is a Black Saiyan card, when this card is placed in your drop area from your deck by a skill, you may play this card from your drop area. Again, this is another card that you're going to get to play for free off the Vegeks ability, like on both his other side and his awakened side. So really, really good. Then we have the Time Agent Vegeta. Time Agent Vegeta is same thing. I mean, has the same ability, unique, permanent. If this it does have a new ability, permanent. If this card would be removed from your battle area or sent from your owner's, sent from the warp, it goes to the warp instead. But it has auto if your leader is a Black Saiyan. When this card is placed in your drop area from your deck by a skill, you may play this card from your drop area. So again, you're playing free cards. No energy, no nothing, free cards. It's 4 drop, 19,000 power, so it's a great attacker. And then you have the Activate Battle that only takes 2 energy. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 3 or less and send it to its owner's warp. So it even has removal on top of that. So those are the main cards that you get to play for free. There is the new Unison card that you can also play for free. I do only run 2 in this deck because Unison cards don't have any combo power, so they're kind of dead cards in your hand. Once you do have it in your hand, you don't really want it there, unless you're going to add a marker or what have you. But this card, the same thing. If this card is discarded off one of your skills, you get to put it into play. And then it has an Activate main. Choose 1 card in your hand and discard it. This card gets plus 10,000 power. And then Activate main, this card gets plus 20,000 power and dual attack for the turn. One effect that I did forget to mention on the Vegeks, which a lot of people do forget about, is this does combo exactly with the Unison card, because once you use Vegek's Awaken ability and you use his Activate main, you get to choose one of your Unison cards and it can double strike for the turn. What you need to be aware of when you use this effect, however, is make sure you're activating this last, or you activate this first and then this last. Otherwise, if you activate the leader card first and then all of a sudden you add or remove markers, he will then lose the double strike. So make sure, if you are going to use this deck, that you're making sure that you are activating the plus 2 counters, or you're minusing the 4 counters to give him either the plus 10,000 power or the plus 20,000 power. And then you're activating Vegek's ability. That way you're giving him the double strike. Okay, those are the cards that can be played. Well, actually, there's one other one. The SS3 Tag Team Son Gohan, I do run 4 in here. That is another blocker that can essentially be played for free. Auto, when a black battle card is removed from your battle area by a skill, activate the skill. You may play this card from your hand. Well, again, if people are trying to remove your black battle cards, or it works really well with Overwhelm, if you do use Overwhelm, and then at the end of the turn, this is a skill that is removing a battle card from play. Also, it works with Unison Patara, which are the Vegeks that I run into the deck, which we'll kind of get into that next. The Vegeks are really good because 3 energy, and you get to fuse with a Trunks Zeno and a Vegeta Zeno. And it has the permanent. You can choose battle cards in your warp when choosing cards to use with this card's Unison skill from your hand, which goes really, really good with Trunks Elite Descendant Overrealm. You're only going to play the Trunks Elite Descendant Overrealm. This play is only going to happen either on turn 1 or turn 2 at the most, because you don't want to put that many cards into your warp, because if you put too many cards in your warp, you won't have the sparking 20 that you can keep recycling your deck. So this, generally, you're going to do turn 1 or turn 2. But again, with these fusion cards, this goes great with the SS3 Tag Team Gohan, because you're like, okay, great, yep, I'm going to play these. I remove a battle card from my battle area because I'm fusion. Oh, great, I can play SS3 Tag Team Son Gohan because that is indeed a battle card. Or black battle card that is removed from your area by a skill. Doesn't say your opponent's skills, any skills. So really, really good. So then that's when we would go into the Vegeks, and the Vegeks has double strike permanent. You can choose battle cards in your warp. Obviously, we went through that. Auto, when this card is played, add up to 1 battle card with an energy cost of 4 or less from your warp to your hand. Well, this allows you to recycle these Time Agent Vegetas that if your opponent starts removing them, again, they go to the warp, and if they're going to the warp, you can't recycle them. So this will allow you to recycle them. And it's a pretty cheap double striker, 25k double striker. Now, what's really cool and a lot of people forget about is then we can EX evolve, or not, sorry, not EX evolve, Zeno evolve the Vegeks into this new Vegeks Burning Impact Unleashed. And it has a double striker for 30,000, and it says when this card attacks, use up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and send it to its owner's warp. So you are getting removal, but what a lot of people forgot about is Zeno Evolve in the rules says when you Zeno Evolve, you put the card in active mode. So you essentially can pay 3 energy to get a double striker dual attack, because you're going to fuse, and then all of a sudden you're going to play this guy. So gives you a lot, and then you also have that removal. You have a double striker 30k, which is really, really good. The next thing that I want to get into is with this card, the Trunks Elite Descendant that I went over. This one does say when this card is played using Overrealm, play up to 1 Vegeta Zeno card with an energy cost of 3 from your deck in rest mode, then shuffle your deck. Well, we do run a 3-cost Vegeta Zeno in the deck, and we run Vegeta Reluctant Reinforcements. And this card is extremely solid. It has a barrier. It's 20k, and when this card, when you play this card, if your leader card is a Black Sand card, place the top 5 cards of your deck in your drop area. Well, awesome. Top 5 cards, that's an ability. I can now play even more of these free battle cards from my deck if I don't have them out. So this is really, really good. And then it has an ability, activate main 1, place this card in its drop area, choose 1 black battle card with 19,000 power from your drop area and play it. So the key thing is this can attack still, and then you can activate the main, which right now we run 4 cards in the deck, 2 different cards that you could run in the deck that you could play using this effect. One of them is the Black Mass Sand Splintering Mine, which is a 4-drop that costs 19,000. When you play this card, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and send it to its owner warp. Even more removal. Auto Sparking 10, which means you have to have 7 cards into your drop area, which with this deck should not be a problem. If your leader card is black, you may choose 2 cards in your life and send them to its owner's warp. If you do, choose up to 1 card in your opponent's life and send it to its owner's warp. So you choose 2 cards in your life, send it to the warp. And if you do, you get to send 1 card of your opponent's from their life and send it to their warp. This is indirect damage, and yeah, you're negging more than your opponent. You're losing 2, they're losing 1, but as aggressive as this deck can be, especially towards the end of the game, if your opponent's sitting at like that 2-1 life mark, this essentially guarantees you that your opponent is going to take that life of damage. The next card that you can grab is a 3-drop Black Mass Sand, the Devastator. This thing has critical, and then auto. During your turn, if your leader card is black and there are a total of 15 or more Saiyan cards in you or your opponent's drop area, when this card is attacks is negated, or when this card fails to deal damage to your opponent in a battle with their leader card, choose one of your opponent's life and send them to their warp. This card, essentially, if your opponent does not block with the attack, meaning that they are not activating blocker, which basically says, okay, now that it has to attack the blocker. If you're not using a blocker against this attack, you're auto-taking a life. Your opponent is going to take a life and send it to their warp. Having 15 Saiyan cards in your drop area is going to be relatively easy with this deck, and that's not even including what your opponent may have in their drop area. So this is a really, really, really solid card. Basically that indirect damage, super hyper aggressive. Okay. Next thing, I think we went through all the battle cards, so I think the next thing we're going to go over is some of the extra cards that I run in here. You could reduce these. Right now I do have the deck at about like at a 54, 55 count. I know some people, for consistency reasons, like to stay at 50 regardless, which definitely you can do with this deck. You could, again, play around with the ratios, but I figure we'll go over the extra cards first. First, we have a Cracked in Space and Time, and I do run 4 of these. It's Activate Battle. If your leader card is a Black Saiyan card, it gets plus 15,000 power and double strike for the duration of the battle. I like this card because if your opponent knows that you run this in your deck, they are always constantly like, do I need to be negating the... do I need to be negating the attack? Like, you know, is this card coming? And, like, is my opponent going to throw out a double striker, like, just last minute? You know, like, they've always got to be aware of that if they're at that 2 life. So I do like this at Crack Space and Time. It's 1 energy. You're getting plus 15,000 power. Can be a really good surprise card. Next card that I do run 4 of is the Majin Buu Human Station Attack. Activate Battle. If your leader card is black, choose up to one of your cards or battle cards, and it gets plus 15,000 power for the duration of battle. If all of your energy is black, when you activate this card, choose up to 1 black battle card in your opponent's drop area, send it to their warp, and then place up to 4 cards from the top of your deck in your drop area. I really like this card because it's just good value all the way around. Essentially, I'm paying 1 energy, gaining plus 15,000 power for the duration of the battle. And then if all my energy is black, which my entire deck is, when you activate this card, I get to choose 1 battle card in your drop area and remove it. So if there's something you're trying to recycle, I can ensure that crap's going to stop real quick. And then I can place up to 4 cards from the top of my deck in my drop area. Awesome. Even more free value. So now I'm placing the top 4 in my deck. Maybe I activated that Trunks Time Agent Trunks blocker, and I activate my top 4, and all of a sudden, oh, hey, great, I got another blocker, so I'm ready for another one of your attacks. So I really, really enjoy this Majin Buu Human Station Attack. Again, it's 1 energy for plus 15,000 combo power. And, I mean, how can you complain? So, definitely love it. The next card I do run 4 of is Power Burst. Counterattack, your leader card is black. Negate the attack, then choose up to 1 of your black battle cards from your drop area or warp with an energy cost of 1 and add it to your hand. Well, I can tell you the perfect card you're going to add to with a 1-cost battle card is the Supreme Kai of Time, Guardian of Space-Time, which, guess what, is basically a super combo with you having 5 or less cards in your hand. So again, you're just getting a lot of value. Then also, you do have the ability, if you have Sparking 5, which again, with this deck is not that hard, you could actually take a life to put this, to use this effect without even using any energy. So, you have that card in your hand if your opponent's doing that big triple striker, victory strike for the game, and you can counterattack. Well, depending on the victory striker, but still, this does give you the ability to, yeah, I mean, stop an attack and then get even more resources into your hand. The next card I do run is Protector of the People. I mean, how can you not? It's a counterattack. Negate the attack, then you may choose 1 card in your hand and place it in your drop area. And if you do, choose 1 of your leader cards and gains following effect for the turn. When this card is attacked by a battle card, it gets plus 5,000 power for the turn. This is really, I did have more of these before when it was the Universe 3 deck. I was adding like 3, almost 4 of these just because I knew there was going to be a big Storm Surgeon in the meta. Now that the Universe 3 cards have been banned, you could get away with 2 of these because I don't think you're going to run into a lot of Storm anymore because of those Universe 3s being banned. But it's still a really solid card. It's going to stop your opponent from attacking with all those battle cards because they're going to have to spend more and more and more and more resources to do what they need to do. And then finally, we do have the ultimate secret card that is ran in the deck, and there's really only one choice when it comes to this. It's the Dragon Ball Negative Energy Overflowing Ultimate, meaning you can only have one in the deck. Reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1 for each battle card in your drop area. Haha, it goes great with Vegeks because you're going to have tons of battle cards. Activate battle at the end of this turn. Choose all battle cards ignoring barrier and place them in their owner's drop area. This card is just extremely solid. There's nothing your opponent can do about it. You play this card, it wipes their board. It's going to wipe your board too, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, depending on the circumstance, you're definitely going to be using this. Especially if you're going to be going against the Invoker decks that have, well, my guy's got barrier. It's like, well, this card don't care. So this is really just going to make sure it just cleans up their board and puts it in their drop area, and it basically makes it where they got to start from scratch. And guess what? With this deck, you're actually recycling that card because once it's in your drop area, boom. You know, once you run out of cards, it gets shuffled right back in your deck. So it's very possible you could use this thing multiple times in a game. So, we went through the main deck, which that's kind of the main, like the meat and bones of the deck. I do have a side deck, and again, this is just something that I've been playing around with. With the side deck, I do have Son Goku making an entrance, counterattack, negate the attack, and play this card. It has no combo power, but what I really like about this card, it is a 1-drop, so it does pair really well with Power Burst. You could essentially Power Burst and then get this card out of your drop area, put it into your hand, and you essentially have another negate. Also, it goes into the next card I'm going to go over, which is Son Goku Saiyan Transcendence. Transcendence, sorry guys, late night. But anyway, what's really nice about this card, it is a Xenovolve of 1. So remember, Xenovolve card goes into active mode. And it with a Son Goku Xeno with a cost 3 or less. Permanent, you do have to have 3 cards in your energy in order for you to play this card, and also you can't have any non-black battle cards, which the entire deck is black anyway, don't matter. But it does have activate main once per turn. You get to choose 4 black battle cards in your warp and place them in your drop area. So if you do plan on overwhelming just a little bit more, this card's going to make sure that even though you are overwhelming, you are getting these cards from your warp back into your drop area. That also goes with the Time Agent Vegeta, because the Time Agent Vegeta does get put in the warp if it is removed from play. So this is just going to make sure that you can revive those. And hey, how can you argue with a Double Striker for 1 energy that's 25,000? So can't do that, can't argue with that. The next card I do run is because I do believe that there's going to be a lot of Invoker decks, and this could actually be mained if you need to make some room. Again, it's the Demonic Absorption. It costs 3. If your leader card is black, you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and send it to their warp. So this just ensures that if they're going to play that Vegeta, and it's like, oh, hey, it's got barrier, there's nothing you can do about it, I'm going to go ahead and use all my Invoker stuff. This Demonic Absorption shuts that down. And again, because you're getting all the free value from all your black cards in the deck from just discarding the top cards of your deck, 3 energy is not going to be that hard for you to spend in order for you to do this. So, honestly, this card could definitely go main, depending on how big Invoker gets. We'll see how all these decks with the different barrier type, you could essentially run this main deck. And then finally, I do run 4 of Kakarot, the one and only. It's just a solid card, blocker, revenge, barrier, and then activate main, cost 2. Choose 4 cards in your drop area and send them to your warp. Play this card from your hand. Blocker, barrier, revenge. So your opponent, like with this, having this card out, your opponent's really going to have to think about how to get around this card. They're probably not going to play their big bad guy unless they have some way to get rid of it. because it does have that barrier. So another really, really solid card to play. All right, fellow Metamaniacs. Well, just wanted to give you the updated Vegeks video. Now that we do have that Universe 3 ban, I do feel it is still a solid deck. Again, I do feel like the ban was needed. It was getting a little carried away with all the value that you could do for a bunch of free battle cards. This does still play a bunch of free battle cards, cheap stuff. So it is still rather aggressive. It has lost some of its steam, but I can tell you this is still an extremely solid deck, and it very well could see very competitive play. So just because Universe 3 got banned, I would not count out Vegeks in the slightest. But it was definitely needed. So I want to give a shout out to our Patreon supporters. First off, I want to say Trent from TAC Games and Renee, thank you so much for being Patreon supporters. We appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to be putting up videos at least once a week. Definitely I want to work on putting up even more videos, maybe 2-3 times a week, so we'll see. And then also once we start getting our locals going and we start getting some online tournaments and stuff like that, I want to start getting some gameplay with some of the decks that I've been creating. So yeah, but anyway, fellow Metamaniacs, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for watching. I will talk to you all later, and hope you enjoy the deck. See ya.